Imagine a world where money literally isn't real. A world where it's not backed by anything physical but is entirely controlled by what we all just choose to believe in. Well, spoiler alert, you're living in it. Welcome to The Explainer, where we're going to crack the code on the invisible forces actually controlling your money. Today, we're taking you from a passive player and turning you into a master of the financial game. We're going to strip away all the textbook jargon and look at how money, taxes, banks, and investing actually work in the real world. Because honestly, if you can understand these rules today, you're going to be ahead of about 90% of people tomorrow. All right, let's dive right in.
So ask yourself this. Why is a dollar bill worth more than a random stick you pick up in your yard? Really think about it. You can grab a stick and it is practically worthless, but a rectangular piece of paper with some green ink printed on it, that can buy you a coffee, a car, or even a house. The wildest part about currency is that, technically speaking, it doesn't have intrinsic value. Humans just invented money to make trading easier. Physically, there's absolutely no fundamental difference that makes a dollar bill inherently more valuable than that stick.
It all comes down to one absolutely crucial concept: shared belief. Money is just a social construct built entirely on trust. The only reason that dollar bill buys you a coffee and the stick gets you weird looks is because we, as a society, collectively agree it has value. And honestly, this is why there's really no difference in legitimacy between a physical US dollar and a digital Bitcoin. People believe a dollar has value, so it does, but only because we all trust the system. The second that trust is gone, it's just paper again. So here is the rulebook for the game of money we're playing today. 1. The illusion of money. 2. The cost of playing. 3. The middlemen and the score. 4. The double-edged sword. And 5. The ultimate cheat code. Let's get to it.
Part 1. The illusion of money.
Picture this. You buy your favorite bag of chips, pop it open, and it's basically half air. Then you check the receipt and realize you just paid 30% more than you did last year. You, my friend, have just been hit by inflation. Now, the sneaky thing about inflation is it doesn't happen overnight. It's this slow, quiet erosion. Your $5 bill still looks like a $5 bill, but suddenly it buys way less gas. Why? Well, sometimes it's because everyone has cash and wants the exact same stuff. Imagine 2,000 people all want a $500 TV, but the store only has 1,000 of them in stock. The store owner sees the demand and instantly hikes the price to $800. Boom, inflation. It can also trigger from supply chain hiccups, or honestly, just because people expect prices to go up, making it a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Now, a tiny bit of inflation, like maybe 2% a year, is actually totally normal. But when it spikes, your savings basically start melting. To fight this, the government steps in and raises interest rates, which just makes borrowing money way more expensive. People stop buying those TVs, and the economy cools off. But sometimes it cools off a little too much, and we slide into a recession. Think of the economy like a massive party. Step 1, the boom phase. The music's loud, drinks are flowing. Step 2, we hit the peak. But then, the lights flicker, reality sets in during the bust phase, and suddenly the DJ is playing sad lo-fi beats while companies are laying people off. It's rough. But recessions aren't forever. They're just painful resets. Eventually, rates drop, spending comes back, and the cycle starts all over again.
Moving on to Part 2. The cost of playing.
So imagine you just busted your back all month, working hard. You get a notification that you've been paid $2,000. Awesome, right? But you open your banking app and there's only $1,456 there. The rest just vanished, taken by invisible forces. Enter taxes. We've got income tax on what you make and sales tax on literally everything you spend it on. Capital gains tax hits the money your investments magically made while you were sleeping. Then there's Social Security, which is essentially the government forcing you to save cash right now so they can drip feed it back to you when you retire. And Medicare, which helps out older folks and people with serious health issues. Look, I get it. Watching your money disappear is painful, but it's the mandatory entry fee for civilization. It pays for the roads you drive on, the schools, and makes sure your favorite late-night taco truck isn't serving you mystery meat.
All right, Part 3. The middlemen and the score.
You walk into a bank, hand the teller $1,000, they smile, your app updates, and you walk out. You're probably thinking, great, my cash is sitting super safe in a massive vault guarded by a dragon. But the truth? That money is already gone. Banks aren't just giant steel boxes for your cash. They're essentially financial matchmakers.
The second you deposited that $1,000, the bank turned around, kept a tiny slice, and handed $900 of your money to a guy looking to finance a jet ski. This is what we call fractional reserve banking. The entire system operates on the assumption that they only need a fraction of cash on hand because what are the odds everyone tries to pull their money out on the exact same day? Well, unless it's a 2008 level crisis and everyone panics. But on a normal day, banks make their money by lending your cash out at a high interest rate and paying you practically nothing for holding it. The good news, in the US, the government backs up your deposits up to $250,000, so you don't actually have to panic.
But here's the catch. When the bank hands out that jet ski loan, how do they know they can actually trust the guy? They look at his credit score. It's basically a shadowy algorithm judging your entire financial past. When banks look at you, they're scrutinizing the exact factors on this slide. Payment history is the heavyweight here. Do you actually pay your bills on time? They also look at credit utilization, meaning, out of all the credit you have, how much are you actually using? They check how old your accounts are, the mix of loans you have, and if you're running around desperately applying for new credit cards every weekend.
Credit scores range from 300 up to 850. If you're hovering below 580, lenders basically look at you like a walking red flag. But if you're over 750, you are radiating sparkling adult credibility. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this number has nothing to do with how rich you are. It is 100% about how much you can be trusted. You could be totally debt-free and still have a garbage score just because you have zero credit history. Treat your credit score like a high-maintenance pet. If you ignore it, it's going to make a massive mess of your life. But if you feed it, take care of it, and pay your bills on time, someday it's going to help you buy that dream house.
Let's move on to part 4, the double-edged sword.
We're talking about the absolute most powerful force in finance, interest. Imagine you borrow $1,000, but a year later you have to pay back almost $1,300. Why? Because interest is essentially money's way of charging rent to exist in someone else's hands. When you're borrowing, interest is the painful price tag for using cash you don't actually have. But when you are the one lending or saving, suddenly interest is your reward for being patient.
Now, there are 2 flavors here. Simple interest is just a flat fee. Cool, thanks for playing. But compound interest, that is where things get absolutely wild. With compound interest, every dollar you make creates tiny clones of itself, and those clones start demanding rent too. If you owe 20% on a credit card and you miss a payment, your interest literally starts earning interest against you. That is exactly how a $12 late-night burrito turns into a $50 nightmare. But on the flip side, if you are the one investing at a solid 7% compound rate, your money is infinitely duplicating. 100 becomes 200, then 400, and suddenly you wake up in 20 years, rich and maybe a little bit smug. Interest is either your worst enemy or your best unpaid employee. The choice is yours.
Which brings us to our final section, part 5, the ultimate cheat code. This right here is your arsenal for actually winning the game. This is how you stop trading your precious time for dollars and start making your money work for you. You've got stocks, which are literally just tiny ownership slices of massive companies. You've got bonds, where you get to play the bank and loan your cash out. Funds are just bundles of these so you don't have to stress about picking the right ones. And of course, real estate, where someone else is literally paying to live in a building you own. Yes, the market goes up and down. That scares people. But the real danger isn't a temporary market dip. The real danger is never investing at all and just letting inflation quietly steal your entire future. But look, to even get the cash to invest in the first place, you have to understand value. Imagine a chunk of shiny yellow rock. It's literally just a rock. But because it's gold and because it's rare, humans go crazy for it. The rock isn't inherently worth more, we just perceive it to be. This is exactly why a Gucci bag and a Target bag can hold the exact same wallet and keys, but one costs 100 times more. It's all about perception. If you can figure out how to provide massive, perceived value to other people's lives, you are going to earn massive amounts of money. But listen, even if you are making an incredible income, you still need the absolute most crucial ingredient, time. Time is the most valuable asset on the board. Most people are stuck trading 1 hour of their life for one paycheck. But the top earners, they've trained their hours to work for them. True wealth is not built in days, it is built in decades. By letting your money sit, duplicate, and compound, completely ordinary people with totally average paychecks end up retiring with millions. They didn't find some magical glitch in the matrix. They just used the system exactly how it was designed, by giving a little bit of money a whole lot of time.
As we wrap up this explainer, let's look back at the board. From the illusion of money to the absolute superpower of compound interest, ask yourself right now, are your hours working for you, or are you just endlessly trading your time for a paycheck? Now that you actually understand how the invisible forces operate, the board is set. If you understand these rules today, you're ahead of the pack. So how are you going to play your very next move?